Welcome back to the Neil Oliver Show with me, Bev Turner. Now, Ash Dykes is an explorer, extreme athlete and motivational speaker who's already trekked from west to east Mongolia, become the first person ever to hike the length of Madagascar, and became the first person ever to trek along the Yangtze, Asia's longest river. However, his latest record attempt may be his most daring and dangerous yet. Have a look.
I'm Ash Dykes. For over a decade, I've completed some of the world's toughest expeditions in some of the harshest and most remote environments on this planet.
You've achieved a world first.
And despite some parts of the world being overcrowded,
hundreds of climbers all queuing to get to the peak of Mount Everest.
there are still places nobody has been to. Some places so wild, even the animals don't know what a human is. Some places so inaccessible, helicopters are the only route in.
Oh, Ash, I'm so excited to talk to you. He's with me in the studio now. I was gripped to that. Right, give us a bit of a backstory, because you are amazing and the things you've done are amazing.
That. Or just crazy.
Yeah, possibly. We'll come on to that.
Yeah.
But obviously, people know of Bear Grylls is the main sort of adventurer. There are a few kind of who've broken through to the mainstream kind of household names.
Yeah.
You're still a little unknown, forgive me.
Yeah.
That I think will probably all change very soon. But where do you see yourself kind of in the pecking order of elite athletes around the world?
Oh, would it be...
Endurance athletes is what I meant to say.
Yeah, endurance athletes. I would say I would put... My name's not up there, but my achievements sit at the top in a non-blowing smoke up my
That
backside.
is what I was getting at, really. Yeah,
Right.
go on. So,
just because I set off, so I was only 19 when I started. I was working fish and chip shop, lifeguarding, you know, waiting on, raising as much money as I could, and all of the rest of the students in college were going on to the military university, and I just wanted to get out there.
where were you living then?
Wales.
Okay.
Old Colwyn, yeah.
Which is, what's that like there in that particular part of Wales?
It's a small, sleepy town. You know, no one really sort of makes it outside of Old Colwyn in a way. There's no one really to look up to or to aspire to. There's no good connections. But it's a beautiful part of the world, you know. You've got the sea, the mountains, the lakes, the rivers, all of that.
So were you always very outdoorsy then?
I was always very competitive and athletic. It was always sports. I'd play rugby, football, athletics, you name it. I was always sort of competing. And then it was sort of later, 16, 17, that I very much got involved with the outdoors, because I thought it sharpens you up physically and mentally, and you face a lot of adversity, and I think that's the best kind of way to learn.
Not an easy way to make a living, though. Like,
It's not.
Do you manage to get good financial support now?
I didn't for the first 5 years after Mongolia, first world record. I can tell you now, I made no more than 3K for a whole 12 months. Had to live with my parents. Same with Madagascar. It was a real struggle. The Yangtze River was what changed everything. It was like onto the Joe Rogan podcast. I had the book. We had National Geographic. Things sort of blew up. I started doing presenting all over the world, and then we produced another 6x 1 hour international TV show following the Great Wall of China, which not a lot of people know about because it's not a record.
You're big in China, aren't you?
Much bigger than the UK.
Don't you have some like special award for a person of special interest in China or something? That makes it sound like a statue. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It was only last week. There's a few different awards out there, but it was only last week I returned after being appointed ambassador for Shaanxi province.
Yeah.
Which was really cool, you know. They really sort of got my back over there. And I'm trying to build it up here in the UK as well.
It's brilliant, and I'm sure you will. You've got such fantastic energy. Were you always like the kid that wouldn't sit still in the classroom and wanted to go out and run around the field?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was always wanting to, you know, I couldn't sit still in a classroom and like listen to the teacher and their experiences and their stories. I needed to go out there, very much a kinesthetic learner, you know, learn from hands-on practical experience. And that's what travel was about.
And what are you doing next, Ash?
So the next one takes me to the greenest country in the world, Suriname. 94% of the country is just completely covered in jungle, and we will be attempting via helicopter to begin with to drop off in the Amazon. Might not be anywhere to land, so we'll lower the helicopter above deep waters and jump into the river, and then from that point we attempt to summit the highest and second highest mountain, sort of machete in hand, sort of hacking our way through the bush, hunting, gathering, and then we look to find and officially map the source of the Coppename River and kayak from source to sea, which will be highly intense. a lot of your wildlife, your jaguars, your caiman, your piranha.
Oh, and when you say we, who is your team? Like, how many people do you have now to make something like that happen?
So it's just a small team of 4 of us going out there. It's myself, it's Jacob Hudson, who's producer. It is Dick Locke and Matthew Wallace, who are your logistics and wildlife experts, because there will literally be wildlife everywhere. You know, they are already in Suriname, they live out there, and even they're a little bit anxious as to where we're going and
what's
what
your
we're about
biggest
to do.
danger?
I would say, you know, a lot of people think it's probably like the anaconda or the crocodiles, stingrays. I would probably say it's the falling trees, because when one falls, they're all connected via vines, and so it's kind of like a tsunami of trees. And every single night, we're just hammock between the 2 trees, sleeping out in the
Are
jungle.
you single, Ash?
I'm not. I'm not. I've got a girlfriend who's going to be very worried at home.
I was going to say, what's the impact on your loved ones? I mean, is she very supportive?
She's very supportive, yeah. It's been 3.5 years, almost 4 years now. So she wasn't there for the Mongolia, Madagascar and the Yangtze, but she was there when I was in China for 4.5 months filming The Great War. And it was hard, you know, we missed each other, but she was kind of like rooting for me. She kind of knew what she was getting involved herself into, you know, with
And how long will you be away on this trip?
It will be, it's not a long one, it will be 40 to 50 days. And so it's not a massive sort of 352 day like the Yangtze one, but the intensity is ramped right up. Any wrong footing, any wrong mistake, we're going to have to be 100% focused effectively.
Will you have
24/7.
satellite phones?
Yes.
As long as they work?
Yeah, Viasat and Globalsat have sent satellite communications, so fingers crossed with this one, we want to live stream every step of the way.
And where can people
If we
see
can.
that? On YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube, my Instagram, TikTok. We're just going to try to get it out there.
Where do you charge stuff in the jungle?
We'll be taking solar panels. And so during the day, we'll probably take a good 2 hours where there's rocks hopefully by the side of the river, pull out the solar panels and charge power banks, electronics, and then, you know, that should be good enough for
And what will you eat?
Piranha will be the main
Piranha?
source of
Have
protein.
you ever eaten a piranha?
I haven't. This will be the first. So it'll be piranha. We'll have beans and lentils, but the main source of protein will be from the fish of the river.
How easy is it to catch a piranha?
It's not
Don't
as
use
hard
bare
as you
hands
think.
is all I know.
No, you don't. We'll be able to we'll take string with us.
Right.
And then we'll be able to use sort of bamboo, latch on the string at the end, find bait in the form of worm, and then just like fish them up in the right area. That is
You're going to be, I mean, it's such an obvious and such a kind of a mom thing to say, but you're going to be exhausted, aren't you, when you finish this? Like, how will you sleep? You said hammocks between the trees.
hammocks between the trees, and the jungle's loud as well, you know.
Oh, mozzies?
Yeah, everything.
That's going to be isn't it? Getting bitten malaria? Is that an issue over there?
Yeah, and I did in Madagascar. I caught the deadliest strain of malaria, and I made it about 3 hours, the doctor predicts, before I potentially would have slipped into a coma. So I have faced that before. I faced dehydration. I've almost died. Like, there's been endless, you know, followed by a pack of wolves for 2 days, hunted by bears. It's so I think whilst it sounds reckless, I've built up so much experience since I was 19 years of age through really harsh environments, facing adversity, learning about myself, what I'm capable of, that I will be going out to Suriname with 100% awareness and focus.
So people will be sat at home now, sort of, you know, maybe picking amongst the quality street on a Sunday evening and thinking, what can I do to give my life a little bit more interest and excitement? We can't do what you do, but what would your advice be to people who think, I just want to take myself out of my comfort zone, like you say, just do something a bit different?
Oh, you know what? It's endless. I think everyone looks to outside of the UK for good fun, but it's here on our doorstep, you know. And this is all of the training that I've ever done for any expedition abroad has been done here in the UK, whether it's in the mountains, whether it's in the forest. It can be a day hike, it can be kayaking. We've got lots of white water, we've got the mountain biking. Just going for a run now is perfect as well.
Well, the weather's sort of, the weather stays kind to us at any point, not that that bother you. And you were once voted, I love this about you, Ash, the 7th coolest person in Wales. The 7th coolest.
It's not quite good enough, is it?
Who was the coolest person in Wales
Who
that
was
year?
the coolest? I think it was was it Chris Coleman? Chris Coleman.
Rugby player? Who's that?
Sorry, Welsh football manager.
Oh, no,
Chris
well...
Coleman, yeah. I thought it would have been Tom Jones, but he was like 50th. I'm like, no, come
well,
on.
at least you're cooler than him. You're way cooler than him, Ash. It's such a pleasure to meet you, honestly.
Yeah, likewise.
And
Thanks
good
for
luck.
having me.
And we'll put on social media where people can follow your journey and
Appreciate that.
support you. So, well done. Amazing.
Thank you.